But let's start then with Arsenal. 2-0 up inside 10 minutes. It looked like they were going to blow West Ham away. They conceded a soft penalty 12 minutes before half-time. Saka then misses a penalty, a chance to put them 3-1 up. And I said in commentary, I was doing the game for talkSPORT's international services, is that penalty the sign that this won't be Arsenal's day? And so it proved. Jarrod Bowen, almost straight from the restart, scores the equaliser. Could have lost it, Arsenal. Antonio's had a really good chance with a header that he couldn't get on target. And it just looked to me in that second half that the Arsenal players are beginning to crack under the pressure. Maybe for the first time this season. 2 weeks in a row, they've thrown away a 2-goal lead away from home. No disgracing to that at Anfield. But I'll say what I said last week. Manchester City, if they're 2-0 up at West Ham, they win that game. And psychologically, City win last night. Erling Haaland gets another couple of goals, then gets rested for the second half. I just think psychologically that's put a lot of pressure on the Arsenal players. They know that City are breathing down their necks.
They do. It's a young squad, Arsenal, and it is starting to show that a little bit of tiredness is showing as well. But we have to remember, they haven't lost any of these games. They've drew both of them. In a game against Liverpool where they're 2-0 up, we was only talking last week, that was a point gained for us because Liverpool dominated probably after Arsenal's second goal. Liverpool dominated the following hour. So that was a point gained. Today, I feel that's 2 point lost, in my opinion. So, am I saying they're going to crumble or they're crumbling? No, not just yet. It's still in their hands. Same as last week. It's still in their hands. They've gained a point today when they would have loved to have 3 points, but they still need to go to Manchester City and either win or draw, and they still need to win the rest of their games because I think you said it last week, Crookie, and I agree. Manchester City, I think, will win every other one of their games until other than the Arsenal game. Then whatever way that goes decides the title.
The trouble for Arsenal, though, and we should say the next 3 games all live on talkSPORT. They've got Arsenal on Friday night. They've got Southampton on Friday night. That should be quite plain sailing. Then they've got Manchester City in the big game of the season. That's a week on Wednesday, also live and exclusive on talkSPORT. And then it's Chelsea in a rearranged game as well the following midweek. They've got the more difficult set of fixtures. They've still got to go to Brighton, or they've still got to host Brighton. I know Manchester City have got them to play as well. They've still got to go to Newcastle, where their top 4 challenge came to a shuddering halt last season. And as you've said, I believe Manchester City will win every game. I think they'll beat Arsenal.
I think they'll beat Arsenal. I do, and I agree with everybody. Last week, I thought it was a point gained. I did, and I said that. I think this week, and you said it last week, you said going to West Ham will be troublesome. It won't be as easy.
Because of what happened at Anfield.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I mean, it proved right. It proved right, and I do think
I'm normally right, babe.
No, you're not. But I just wanted to give you props there. But yeah, I think it was 2 points dropped. I really do. The only thing I'll turn around and say is, I actually still think there's going to be twists and turns. I think Man City has got a lot of games, and they've got their eye on the Champions League. And I did say this, and as much as we think, because part of me think City will get to the final of the Champions League. So that means City's going to basically win every game they're playing. And I don't think they will. So I do think that somewhere along the line, a game or 2, they're going to drop. And it is for Arsenal. The more, like you said, Ambrose, they haven't lost. But it's a psychological thing in the sense of being 2 goals up in consecutive weeks and losing it. Losing the 2 goals. And they could have lost the game today. And both games they could have lost, got over the line. Listen, I said it was a point gain. I do think Arsenal fans will turn up and say, you know what, today wasn't good enough in the sense. And I agree with that. I agree, you know what, for them, being 2-0 up, showing that they should have been able to have that bounce back and said, we've come back for every time that we've had a setback, and this again was the first time. So, and this is the business end. So, I would be slightly worried if I was an Arsenal supporter.
I wonder if any Arsenal fans are questioning Mikel Arteta and his game management today, because he took off Gabriel Jesus, who I thought had a good game, was holding the ball up well, scored the opening goal. Was even when West Ham was seeing a lot of ball in the second half, was at least keeping their defenders honest. He brings on Leandro Trossard, who isn't a striker. He played in that false number 9 role, but his natural tendency is always to drift out wide. I just wonder if that will go down as a mistake amongst Arsenal supporters. Do let us know. 03717 22 3344 81089 on the text. You can tweet at talkSPORT as well. How does Mikel Arteta pick his players up now? Because they did look very dejected as they came off the pitch.
Well, they certainly will be. As I said, it's a young squad. It's probably an inexperienced squad in terms of these situations. Well, it definitely is. And I look at the Jorginho, for instance, this substitution. Now, I know it went to 2-2, but I mean, I was particularly questioning that last week. Maybe bring Jorginho on, try and keep the ball, try and turn the game into their favour. He's done that this week and he's getting criticised for that. So, you know, you can criticise the decisions that Mikel Arteta is making, because if he is top of the league and then you end up Manchester City overtake them, you're going to look and pick out these type of moments. He has to pick his team up. Of course he does. He's got some huge games coming up, but what he hasn't got is any cup fixtures. So he can only concentrate on the league, which is brilliant, and for Arsenal. But what I look in terms of Manchester City, what they've done well is they've all but ended the tie. Like, might be a little bit too early to say, but they've all but ended the tie against Bayern Munich 3-0. He can afford to play his players for half a game like he did yesterday against Leicester, and then take them off and rest them. Sheffield United, you'd expect them, no matter how they played against Spurs and Blackburn, you'd expect them to go through comfortably against Manchester City. That might be a big team bias, but I'd expect Manchester City to come through comfortably. So he's got all the right draws. Then he can concentrate on the league games coming after. The biggest game of Pep Guardiola's season for me is coming up against Arsenal. If he wins that, he wins the Premier League.
You think it simply comes down to that?
I think so, yeah. I think you win against Arsenal, you win the Premier League.
I do. I agree. I think that game is just, even when you're talking about psychologically, I think, and points we know, but I think if City win, and of course they're going in favourites, if they do win, I think Man City's going to...
This was a game, I think I'm right in saying, the reason it was postponed was because Arsenal had to rearrange their Europa League game. I think it was against PSV Eindhoven, and therefore this City game got knocked back.
Yep.
I wonder if they had their time again, would they rather have just got this Manchester City game played earlier in the season?
Of course they would. But I mean, I'm saying that, Bayo, you said it as well. I don't know if you agree with me on this next statement. Is I think if Arsenal beat Manchester City, I don't think that's the title done yet. I think if Manchester City win, that's it, over. I think if Arsenal beat Manchester City,
I disagree.
I don't think it's over.
I think if Arsenal beat City, Arsenal win the league.
Winner takes all.
So you're saying it's winner takes all,
I think
basically.
it's winner takes all. I think whichever way it goes, whoever wins that game, the pendulum swung to that way. I think it's winner takes all on that game. I can't see either one of them winning that game and then losing it elsewhere. I literally can't. I think the boost that Arsenal will get for winning that, I just think it will. And City's been there before.
Yeah.
So if they've won, this is the City charge. Like, we've seen this before. This is the City charge. So if they win, they know what they're doing, and you see it. Like, I know they took their foot off the gas against Leicester, but they're now dispatching teams and then knowing, okay, cool, because we know we're playing Saturday, Tuesday, boom, 3-0 or whatever it is, game done, and then come off. That's what. So I believe if they win, it's winner takes all.
Is that not the difference between the two teams as well? That you're right, Manchester City seem to be winning with something to spare as Bruno Fernandes puts a free header wide at the City ground. Whereas you look at Arsenal, even when they are winning, they're having to work at times much harder than City to get those points. I think you're Bournemouth at home when they came back from 2-0 down, Aston Villa away when they won it late in the game then. Now, on one hand, you can say, well, that's the sign of champions, winning games when you're not playing particularly well. But eventually, if you're having to work so hard to win matches, your luck runs out, doesn't it? As maybe it did today with that missed penalty at West Ham.
Yeah, like I said, the only way you can get experience is by going through it. And we've all know that Man City's been there, done that, and won 5 of the last 6 Premier Leagues. And if that's what it is, so they've done that. This is a new Arsenal team. So if they can get over the line, what they will galvanise and what they will take from this will be something else. But that is what you are seeing. It's a new feeling, and now you're getting to them points where, you know, you go to Liverpool, and that's a good point, and you go to West Ham, and it's a bad point. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing the levels of a team that's been there, done that, and a team that's now just trying to get to that point.
These are pressurised situations, and you're totally right with Manchester City. They are winning with a canter against most teams. If I look back at, their last 6 fixtures, 7-0, 6-0, 4-1, 4-1, 3-0, 3-1, and yesterday's 3-1 wasn't a 3-1 really. It should have been 5 or 6.
They are ruthless.
They are winning with a canter. They can substitute Haaland, substitute De Bruyne, Grealish when they're on top form, put on players, Mahrez, players like Foden that are sensational players as well. for me, Manchester City have the squad. And when they're chasing, we've said this for many weeks, when you're Arsenal and you've got Manchester City chasing you, you can't slip up. And they've slipped up twice now. And Manchester City, the confidence that gives you as well, when you see the team in front of you slipping up, you think all we have to do is beat them and we'll be confident to go to every other football team this season and win.
Yeah, they were 16-1 before this weekend. I think Manchester City to win every game. They'll be much shorter now.